We got some pretty exciting Valhalla leaks about future free content. Are the Zealots coming back? There is totally a chance for that. I'll tell you everything you need to know in this video. A like would of course really help me out. And let's go. You can still enter my giveaway for 2,300 Helix credits in the pinned comment. You have to be a subscriber of the channel if you want to participate, and I will announce the winner next week. We already know that new River Raid maps are planned and that they will include the enemies from Ireland that you can then even fight if you don't own the Wrath of the Druids DLC. Well, now in his latest video, Andy Reloads leaked a lot of information, and a link of course to his channel in the video description. Namely the names of the rivers that will be coming very soon. And this according to the files found by Petter. One is called Burba, also known as River Barrow, which is the longest of the three sisters, which are like three rivers in Ireland. River Arif was also found, which is also in Ireland. So it seems like we will get two River Raid maps with Irish enemies, but even more interesting is that River Rhine in Francia was also found in the files, which is the second longest river in Central and Western Europe. So yeah, it seems like we will be raiding in Francia as well and might encounter some of the enemies we already saw in that E3 trailer that are otherwise going to be exclusive to the Siege of Paris DLC. In Origins and Odyssey, we had free missions just before a paid expansion would release to already get us hyped up for that Season Pass content. And I think the one we got before the Curse of the Pharaohs is still my favorite, where we had to infiltrate this tomb in the desert, fight off some pretty powerful enemies with flaming swords. Then we were tasked to retrieve an artifact, which turned into this crazy ritual with zombie-like enemies attacking you and you having to defend yourself. It was pretty awesome. And then we had to go back to the tomb, see a small cutscene, after which we got attacked by like a huge army. It only got us in the mood for more mythology-focused content before Curse of the Pharaohs would hit, so I really miss these kind of missions in Valhalla. But maybe their answer to this type of content are these new River Raid maps. Sure, it seems like this content will be launching after the DLCs are already out. Maybe we do get the Francia map before the Siege of Paris, but it's kinda hard to say at this point. What we at least know is that they will include enemies from that DLC, which was not the case in the free missions we had in the older games. And he mentions in this video that the structure for these new River Raid maps will be similar to when the mode first came out, so that we find clues, which then lead us to new rivers, to then in the end fight a champion. We actually seem to start in River D, which was of course the third river we unlocked when the River Raids first launched, so totally finish that first River Raids quest chain if you haven't already, because it seems to be needed before we can go to these new Irish maps. After the clue in River D, we will be going to River Barrow and then to Arif, and while making our way through these river raids, we will be picking up pieces of a loose armor set. He was of course one of the most prominent gods of the Irish mythology, so makes sense that we get his armor set during these Irish raids. And we also seem to get his spear after the champion boss fight, so kind of similar to the sword we got from the previous river raids. And I really hope that it feels like a real champion boss fight this time. I get that they don't want to make it too frustrating, because when you die you have to start all over, but I want to feel some sense of accomplishment this time. Like they can totally make it feel more like a boss fight at least. Whatever happens with this encounter, seems like they will be doing something to make this mode more challenging. But more on that in a moment, because according to Andy, it seems that we get a clue for the Francia River Raids after defeating the champion in River Arif, which then has chased a Francia champion sword, but no word on which sword this is going to be. I personally think that we get the Irish River Raid locations first, and then in an update later on, we go to the River Raid in Francia. Seems like a lot to release it all in one go, but we will see. The exciting thing I was referring to earlier is that after like completing the new River Raid storyline, Vaughn will tell us about Champions of Faith, and we have this text from the files saying that a Champion of Faith has been spotted along the High Alert River. Of course, after raiding a river a couple of times, it will go into High Alert, which right now only really means that you get 60 supplies per chest instead of 50. Obviously, there are more defenses, but It's not more challenging or anything. Well, seems like they want to change that by introducing these champions in the high alert rivers. And I always hoped that they would bring back the Zealots for these river raids even before the mode came out. And seems like this might actually be happening now. They spent a ton of resources on these mini boss fights, but of course, after completing the order menu, there's no way to fight them again, while you can fight almost every other enemy in the world. Well, maybe they will be coming back. I mean, these champions could be any enemy, of course. But the idea behind the Zealots was always that they would protect the Christians from the Danes. I can totally see this happen, again, not confirmed or anything, but if it's true, then I hope that we get to fight 2 of them at the same time as well. Like, really make these high alert river raids super challenging. If you don't want that challenge, just do the other river raids instead. Champion of Faith weapons were also found in the files, and they shared this list with 3 weapons that are already in the game. The Icy Death, Broker's Pride, and the Glory Dagger. They are of course a reward from the Mastery challenges. But Rolo's Lost Axe is indeed new, and of course Frankia related, you would think. Rolo is of course a famous historical character, and the Rolo we meet in the game went to Frankia at the end of that story arc. So, while I totally think we will meet him again in the Siege of Paris DLC, I'm not sure if he's linked to the weapon. Could just be linked by name, but not by person, if that makes sense. And the Celtic Crusher is interesting because I think we already know what it will look like. XD Animus shared concept art from concept artist Arnoud, and then Nathan reached out via Twitter at JorRaptor with this picture of the 3 spears. And we of course got the first 2 already in the Druids DLC, but not the 3rd one. On Arnoud's art station, we see the names for the 3 spears: the Byzantine, Geobulk, and the Celtic. So the 3rd one that we don't have yet is called the Celtic Spear, and the name that Andy shared is the Celtic Crusher. So I think it's the same thing. Yeah, more spears, I guess. Give me those one-handed swords instead. Will be very, very soon likely. I expect to hear more about the next update next week, if it indeed launches on July 20th, which should be the case looking at the recent patch schedule. And before we go into the photo mod showcase, I want to highlight an amazing initiative started by the ones who came before, called Assassins in Need, which supports the World Federation for Mental Health. With COVID and everything else going on in the world, it has been a really difficult time for a ton of people, and with this fundraiser, we as Assassin's Creed fans want to help. I already donated, and you can do it too if you want. I put the link to the fundraiser in the pinned comment. Thanks a lot if you decide to help as well. I will have, by the way, a video up about that new Assassin's Creed game really soon, like an extra one. Way more Valhalla videos are coming your way as well, so subscribe to miss nothing if you haven't already. A like on this video would really help me out. And if you for some reason missed the first video I did on Assassin's Creed Infinity, the next game, then you can watch it by clicking on the screen. Or I will link to it at the end of our photo mod showcase. You can of course send in your shots to the JorRaptor hashtag on Twitter, or by going to the dedicated pictures channel on the Discord. And you can also join the Discord by clicking the link in the pinned comment. Accept the rules, and then you are able to post. Okay, Joyce, come in. You, of course, selected 3 shots from the community, so I'm always curious which one did you pick this time.
What's up, everyone? First up is Aaron Young over on Twitter, who took the assassin theme to a next level with not only wearing the Basim outfit, but also the Black Raven mask and the area covered in smoke. This probably comes from the candles that are in the room, but it gives this new rogue vibe to the picture.
Yeah, very unique location. Awesome shot.
Next up is Miss Linz over on Discord, where it looks like Eivor is in deep conversation with the druid cultist instead of being in a fight. I mean, did Eivor suddenly join the dark side, and does she want to know about the body parts the druid is gonna sacrifice? Looks very...
Like, yeah, it's like, well, because there's like a dead body, like Eivor's like, I can explain.
Looks very sketchy. And finally, we've got Ember Gaming over on Twitter, who took this stunning shot of Eivor wearing the Huntsman set while her arrow is on fire, and she actually created a line in the air. Very artsy, or maybe a new way of a smoke sign. I mean, trying to reach her Yam spiking to help.
It's the Muspelheim gate. Already trying to draw that.
Yeah, indeed.
Very cool shot. Of course, share your shots, and then maybe we'll be in the next video. Subscribe for more Valhalla content, and totally check out that video on the next Assassin's Creed by clicking on the screen. For now, we will speak to you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.